All right, so Alyssa, thank you for joining to our episode 4 of Her Stories, where we focus on successful women leaders globally. And I am sure the story that you're going to share with us or your views about women empowerment is going to one of the inspiration to our younger generation of women who are watching us. And I do hope that it will help them to while planning or trying to build this career in tech.
Yeah, thank you for having
Right.
me.
So, Alyssa, you are the marketing director at Sana Commerce, right? And so, how does your day at Sana Commerce look like?
Yeah, so my day is usually full of meetings, but those meetings usually tend to be strategy sessions, meetings with my team, meetings on local strategy or global strategies, and then also working with individuals on my team to help them grow in terms of their own specialty or skill set. So a lot of development, a lot of coaching, a lot of strategy, but all good things.
Well, that sounds pretty interesting. And now this is the end of the year is also approaching, and I'm sure you might have a lot of hustles going in your organization right now, trying to, finish all the projects, right?
Yep, 100%.
Great. So, Alyssa, and while for all of us growing up, we always have someone, to be inspired of. And for you, who were the women that have served, while for you growing up as an inspiration to you? Is there any specific woman that you would like to shout out or that you get inspired? Yeah.
So I actually have two. It's my mom and my sister. So my mom, she has been a role model for me and kind of shaped me to the woman that I am. She was a single mom growing up. She had 4 kids. She did everything she could to take care of us, and she taught me how to be a working and strong woman, but also somebody that commands respect, especially in the workspace. And so I see her do it, and I was able to learn a lot from that. And then in terms of my sister, she grew up with a lot of challenges. She's disabled. And her whole life, she was always told what she couldn't do. And she was always said, you're never going to walk, or you can't do this. And every barrier or hurdle that was put in front of her, she achieved it. And, they told her she couldn't walk. She walked. She did horseback riding, cheerleading, track and field, everything, you name it. And just to put in perspective, she had cerebral palsy. So for her, it was an inspiration to me to see her overcome hardship and never give up, and know that probably some of the hurdles that I'm facing probably are not even nearly as big as what she is facing, but yet she still seems to overcome them. So if she can do it, I can do it.
Wow. I mean, that's so interesting, right? For young children, to have those role models, especially from their families, to see them, in the first hand to what kind of a struggles they're facing and then how they're overcoming with it, right? It gives us such a, experience from a young age where, it already prepares to the, bigger world that is awaiting us after the college, school, or anything that we are, going through. I couldn't agree more, because one of the inspirations for me also is my mom. Like I myself firsthand saw her struggle, so it already gave me such a way for me to develop mentally and emotionally in that sphere, right? And then Alyssa, one of the concepts of hers is empowered women empower other women, right? And then how you yourself empower yourself and the women around you. For example, your mom or your sister or the women in your organization.
Yep. So the way I empower myself is being being positive, but also looking at things in the glass half full. So always, even in a negative situation, being able to take a learning or a positive aspect out of it, because even in the negative times, there's always a learning that we can take that helps us grow and helps us further develop. And so in those, I try to do that to stay empowered and confident. And I think the way that I do that to help other women feel empowered is live by example. So whether it's with my family, whether it's with coworkers, I try to stay true to myself and always be that positive influence for them, because it's so easy to be negative, but it's so hard to be positive. And when you're positive, you just feel better.
Yeah. I mean, being authentic to yourself is one of the, huge steps to empowerment for for both women and men, right? Especially in organizations. Right. And then as you see now, the area is changing both in life, in our personal lives and the technology, business and all. And then with this being said, what do you feel should be a person's, first priority, especially for women?
Yep. So yourself. And when I say that, I don't say it in a selfish way. I say it in a way that if you are only as good to other people as you are to yourself. So if you yourself are not at your best at 100%, and you being your best self, whether that's with health, mental health, physically, whatever it is, your career, if you are not happy, how can you help other people?
Right.
So I feel like everybody's first priority should be themselves.
Yeah. First help yourself, then help others, right?
Exactly.
Right. And then it always feels nice when you feel the support from other women, right? When other women can support other women, right? And then what do you think, how can women support other women in various organizations or leadership roles? Do you think it differs from roles to roles, or do you think there is some similar grounds?
Yeah, no, I think it's, I don't think it differs. I think there's two main things here. I think the first one is respect. I think the best thing we can do as women is respect each other, lift each other up, be honest with each other, and be positive with each other. And then I think the second piece that I want is being honest with each other. I think sometimes women, men, whoever, we tend to sugarcoat things. And I think the best thing we can do as women, especially in some of the negative times we might be facing, is being honest with each other and saying, no, you were wrong in that situation, or you were right in that situation, and empower each other to do the right thing, or empower them to act on if they need to act on. Because at the end of the day, you guys, everyone can sit there, they can talk about the situation, they can gossip about the situation, but what does that change? So if we're not honest with each other about those action items that you should take, whether they're right or wrong, we're not moving anywhere.
Right. I mean, it totally makes sense, actually, right? So being honest is one of the things that, we all have to aspire, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So, women in tech is not something new, right? It's been debated, it's been, talked about for many years right now, especially in this technology business and all. And when we say women in tech, it always covers such as things like, for women, especially maternity leave, the barriers that, women face in the, workplace, like maternity leave, flexible working hours, or remote working. So do you think that you have in any way affected those barriers that women face? For example, in your organization, do you feel like you have some support, that you supported other women, like while facing those barriers?
Yep. So I think I've been fortunate enough to work for companies that offer those things that are important. So flexibility, maternity leave, work from home in those situations. And I think the most important thing as women that we need to realize and also accept is know what you want when you go into a job. Like you know what's important to you. You know what's going to make you happy. So command those things and say, this is what I need to be successful. And if a company is not willing to give them to you, is that a company you actually want to work for? Is the first question. And I think as a leader, and for me, with my team at least, is I try to be very flexible with my team, and each of them have their own different needs. They have things that are important to them, whether it is because they have a child, or if it's because they need flexibility because of something going on in their family. And the more that I can give them that, they're going to produce better results for me, the team, the company, everyone. So I think I just try to live by what I want when I go into a company. And then I say, okay, I want to manage the way I would want to be managed. So I try to make sure that those things that are important are also passed down to my team, and that they get them also. And I think that's how I help as a leader. And I think as leaders, we should do that, because we ourselves probably want those things.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally relate to that because hers is an organization where, most of our employees are women. And then I myself as being one of those leaders, like, I totally understand this concept of being flexible towards women because many of them married, because many of them, they have their own, personal responsibilities outside of the workplace. And then no matter what, it requires you to be flexible as much as possible to get this, productivity from the team. And I think from your story that you are, sharing with us, I think it's already a good sign for many women that, companies already, start to recognize these barriers as a, first priority for women. For example, maternity leaves or flexible working hours. That's such a good and, positive sign for women to, in helping to help her to decide whether to join the company or not, right?
Exactly.
Great. And then, there's a saying, right? We all learn from mistakes. So, Alyssa, what mistakes have you made and what did you learn from them?
Yeah. So I don't like to call them mistakes. I like to call them learnings. But I would say throughout my career, when I started my career, I said, I'm going to be the go-to, the yes person, and I'm going to be the person that if you fired, you would be screwed. And that was the person that I wanted to be. I wanted to be in everything, know everything, have the knowledge, and be that go-to person. But over time, as I've developed my career, I learned that it's not just about being that person, but also knowing your worth. And if you can be that person, but if a company doesn't respect that, or if a company doesn't value that, then you're not getting what you need from them. And it's not fair to yourself that you stay and you give 200%, 150, however much, but you're not getting anything in return. So the biggest learning I had is that I go through now is know your worth.
Right. I mean, yeah, I mean, know your worth. Why not, right? Because it totally leads to your productivity and then, to decide whether what you are good at, what skills you have the best, and if you are, able to handle the pressure.
Yep, exactly.
Right. So, as I already mentioned in the beginning of this, video, that one of the concepts of hers is to, create such an Excel for women where they, can excel from all the ways possible, personally, professionally. So that is the one of the reasons that we started this her series, right? Where, women leaders that you can share their struggles, what challenges they have faced, while reaching to the position that you have right now, because it's not an easy thing to do. Let's admit it, right? So,
Yep.
and which, comes to my another question, which is one of my favorite questions that I ask from all the women leaders. So from your experience, what is the one takeaway you would like to share with the women who, in the tech for their growth, they're, paving their career, for example, in marketing?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is never stop learning, never stop growing, never stop asking questions, and always ask why. Even if somebody says no and you don't agree with them saying no, ask why. Because knowledge is key, especially as a woman in corporate and getting, through your development and growth and stuff. Like, always ask questions, because the truth is, one, there's always somebody behind you that's coming after your job and you, but at the same time, is knowledge is power. The more you know, the more job security you have, the more the growth, or not growth, the more valuable you are, the more you can do, the more you can provide value for. So that, I would say, that's probably the biggest takeaway, is always ask questions and never stop learning, and always ask why.
Yeah, great. So, as you mentioned, you are one of the leaders in your organization, right? And being like, leader is always a challenging, no matter what, no matter where, right? So, according to you, what is the biggest challenge of being head of marketing, being leader, right?
Yep.
So,
When I became the head of marketing and for the team, and started managing the team, one of the things I realized very quickly is that I would work like till 7, 8 p.m. because my focus was, I got to manage the team. I got to make sure they're good. I got to make sure strategies are in place. I got to make sure that things get done. And I am the person or the type of manager that if we need something done on the team and either we don't have a person to do it, or I have a team member that's already at max capacity, I'm not going to just say, no, we're not going to do it. I'll take it on and I'll do it. So what I realized is responsibilities would start to add up. And I finally said to myself, no, I also need to have a work-life balance, because going back to that priority, I also need to keep myself as a priority. And so work-life balance had been a struggle for me in the beginning. But I think what I did and what I started to do was implement boundaries for myself. So I try to say, like, I won't work past 6:30. If it's something that, unless it's urgent and a deadline, 6:30 is the cutoff, because whatever I'm doing, it can be finished tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. So work-life balance is something we all trying to achieve, right? It is so difficult to manage work and the life, but then I guess it all comes with the experiences and the struggles and then you learn how to, handle the situations where, you could, figure out what you are worth for, that linking to other answers that you previously answered, and then it helps you to see your and to set the clear boundaries around the work and the life as well.
Exactly.
And Alyssa, last but not the least, if you could, what advice you could give to your younger self?
My biggest thing is, don't be afraid to be yourself through and through. So we have all gone through our growing up phase where we try to fit in and we try to change ourselves for other people. And I think the biggest lesson that I had, especially now as an adult, is being yourself is the best thing you can be. And it doesn't matter if everyone doesn't accept you. Being yourself means you're being your best self.
Right. I mean, you couldn't give more, so right advice to this, because being yourself it takes it takes everything to do that.
Yep.
Right. All right. So, I mean, your insights about the women empowerment, and you empowered yourself and became such a, inspiration leader to your organization is quite amazing. I mean, your knowledge about the women, about the, handling the team, especially the team, like, might be with many of women's and their, own personal issues or professional issues. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And then, handling the situation in such a way where everyone is, satisfied with the work and the solution that you offer. So it was great. So thank you again for joining and to having this conversation with us. So we would be looking forward with you to have another conversation about women empowerment, where we could share more insights about some other related topics to women empowerment.
Yeah, I would love that. And thank you for having me. I mean, this was an honor. I'm all about women empowerment and helping younger women become successful, because I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, thank you. So, Alyssa, I'll just stop the recording now.